everybody, I'm Jen Henriksen, and welcome to the Alaska 2022 pre-trip classes. I know so many of you, and I can't tell you how excited I am even to get the classes started, and I'm sure you are as well, because I know you've been itching to get going with things. And part of the delay of why we're doing it now after the first of the year is because COVID has wreaked some havoc on the travel industry, and with some things up in the air, we wanted to give it a little bit of time to hopefully let things flesh out. And in some ways, I think they are, and in other ways, I think they're not. So let's talk about that right out of the gate, because I know that's a big concern for many of you. What's going to happen? Are we still going? So the short answer to that is we absolutely are. I know that if you're watching the news, you are getting some mixed reviews on what's going on with things. I can tell you that all of our clients that are individually traveling on cruises right now are having amazing times. So don't the poo-poo bad news that always tends to hit the airwaves. Take it kind of with a grain of salt. And the bottom line is, if anything is going on that is going to put our trip in jeopardy, you will be hearing from me personally. So you'll get an email from me with whatever the updates are. The only changes that have taken place to these trips, remember there's two of them. There's the 7-day cruise only, and then there's the 12-day cruise, land, and rail as well. And the only change with that is on the 12-day land, rail, sea package, that in Denali National Park, they have had one of the main roads all the way into Denali. There's only one way in and out, and the road has washed out. So they've had to do some changes to our wilderness tour that we're doing on one of the days that we're in Denali. But that's not a major. They've added so many other things in all of the little ranger stations along the way. And I'll fill you all in on that when we go through the itinerary in detail in one of our upcoming classes. But that is the only change so far. Now, with COVID, there has been some requirement changes happening: when you test, how many hours you have to afford to test, all of those kind of things. And the reason I'm not even bringing it to your attention is that we're 6 months away, and those changes happen literally weekly. And there just isn't enough hours in the day to let everybody know those back and forth changes. So as we start these pre-trip classes and over the coming months, you'll have plenty of time before final payment to know all of those details. And I'll tell you how you can find your final payment in just a little bit. So there's 6 pre-trip classes. Some of them will be broken up like this first one. I'm going to record for you and break it up into sections, because there's certain things that I don't want you to get confused on, and make them shorter videos so they're nice and easy to do when you're ready to do them. So I know we have, I think we're at 65 or 67 now. Some of you registered 6 months ago, and I know you're like, yay, we're finally getting together. And some of you registered like 6 days ago. Welcome to the Sweeney and Murdoch families. But whenever you registered, we are so excited. I personally and my family, we are so excited that you're coming. This is definitely a bucket list destination for all of us. And whether you've been before or you haven't, we're going to help you see it just from a whole different perspective. And Princess is such a fantastic company to go with. And I'll tell you a little bit about why we chose them later on in this class. I wanted to tell you a little bit about me personally. I have been doing group tours most of my adult life. Tom and I, my husband Tom, we've been married 32 years, but we homeschooled our 2 daughters, who are now 23 and 24 years old. And we had the opportunity to travel quite a bit, but we also ran a homeschool group of hundreds of families. So even when the kids were small, I had opportunities to plan ski trips and group trips and that sort of thing. So it's always been a passion of mine. And I personally, if you know me, am a really big into the travel scene myself. Tom and I are big hikers and backpackers, and just my background lends to more of that soft adventure. That's what we call it in the travel trade, is soft adventure. So you're not rappelling off Denali, but you're hiking in the national park, or you're riding regular bikes or e-bikes, that sort of thing, kayaking. Those are considered soft adventure when you talk about the travel trade market. So that's my specialty, is bucket list soft adventure type of trips. I started as a tour operator probably now about 10 plus years ago with an online Christian school that worked with homeschool families all across the country. And that's where I got my official start planning, creating, and leading tours. It wasn't a travel agency at all. I was just a private tour operator for that company. And when the company went out of business, I opened up my own tour company called Mission Adventuring to continue on with those tours that I had planned for that company. And right away, because I'd had hundreds of people over the years travel on those tours with me, and they now felt like family, they began asking me for their personal vacations. Jen, can you plan this cruise for us? Can you plan this vacation to Italy? I want to take my daughter for graduation, things like that, not group tours. And I wasn't a travel agent, so I didn't have that background. But after multiple requests from people in 2017, I ended up opening a travel agency side of our Mission Adventuring tour company. And over the years, until about 2019, it became big. That was a large portion of the business. So I started easing out of teaching. I used to teach marine science and photography, as well as writing and some other various things over my homeschool years. But my big one was marine science. Tom and I are both rescue certified divers, as are our children. But it started years ago with me working at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa. I was a diver there for 6 years, running their volunteer program, started as one of the volunteers. And before I had kids, that was my career. So what they call it now is commercial or scientific diving, because it's in like a contained environment with lots of animals right at your fingertips. So it's considered a little different today, but our background with scuba diving and our experience with it is pretty extensive from all of our years of doing that. And I just developed a fascination for marine science. So I'm originally from upstate New York, the Syracuse area, Baldwinsville to be specific. And I moved here at 18 and met Tom on Clearwater Beach. He is from California, Northern California, and his parents had relocated here while he was in high school. So we met at 18 and 19. We married at 21 and 22, and here we are today. So marine science has been a big part of our background just because of my passion for it. And it integrates into all of the trips, a lot of the trips. So if you're anywhere near water, I can't help it, but we're going to be talking about marine science. And what better place to talk about that than in Alaska, right on the water, right? So I'll be able to just enhance the trip with some really great marine science related stuff as we make our journey around. I'm also a pretty avid hiker. And like I said, Tom and I have some experience doing some backpacking on the Appalachian Trail and leading tours for that, which we're not doing at the moment. I get requests on that all the time. But since we have experience with that, most likely on the 12-day tour that includes land, I'll be doing a group hike. So you can join us on that as well. Just an easy one, nothing crazy. So yeah, just a little bit about my background. When COVID hit, we specialized really in Europe, right? So Italy, France, Spain, Germany in the early years, not so much in the later years. But when 2019 came around, COVID hit in early 2020. The bottom fell out of that, So Europe still, we're going into year 3 right now, and Europe is still pretty, while they're reopening right now, and we're recording this in January of 22, people are still a little hesitant to travel that far away from home. We still have the vaccinated versus unvaccinated choices, and that limits people right now on what it is that they can do. So that hasn't been a good thing. I can tell you, we have really taken it on the nose the last 3 years for that. But one of the positive things that came out of it is this trip, because a lot of our past travelers, 1,300 people, we would be hearing from them on Facebook and personally texting me, and hey, how about if we did some domestic tours? Wouldn't it be fun to do those places that are a little closer to home, that we can go with some friends, that sort of thing. So bucket list North America is what? Alaska and Hawaii are 2 of the biggies. There's many others, the national parks, which we'll be doing those as well. But Alaska and Hawaii were the 2 biggies. And since we're such soft adventure people, right away, I knew I wanted to go to Alaska. and start there. I'm just a huge, I love the outdoors. I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. So many parts of Alaska were a bucket list for myself as well. So that's where we started. Coming out of COVID, the plan was to be able to pivot just a little bit and offer some more bucket list tours, but offer them in North America as well. And to make that change in order to automate things, because we lost some staff over the COVID years, we transitioned the travel agency. Remember, it's a travel agency and a tour company. We transitioned the travel agency over to Cruise Planners. That's a franchise. And I couldn't be happier. Our clients absolutely love it. And the biggest reason we made that change is not because we're cruise focused. We actually were more land focused. But the reason we chose a Cruise Planners franchise is for the technology, because as you see, as we go through these classes, if you are tech savvy, there are some really, really good apps and features out there to help really hone in on those trips that you want to take. And Cruise Planners is known all over the industry as having the best technology for that. So the travel agency now is separate on the Cruise Planner side, and Mission Adventuring Tours needed to kind of get rebranded. I wasn't teaching students anymore. My kids had grown. We were out of the homeschool community, and it was time to move on to my new demographic, right? And we were seeing a lot more of people my age. I'm 53. And seeing a lot more people my age doing those kind of trips and things that I wanted to do. And as well as motor coach tours and other things that'll be coming down the road as well. So the travel company, the tour company, is rebranding at the end of this month, January 22. You'll start to see things come out about Jen's Travel Journeys. And that's what this is. Really, it's the Alaska tours are the same. It's where I'm going with you on a tour as the on-trip host. So Jen's Travel Journeys is the tour operator side of the company. Where we take people all over Europe, North America, the Holy Land. My personal one I really want to do is Antarctica, but I need some of you fine people to get on there with me. But basically, I plan those tours around interest. So from that collection of 1,300 people over the years, the ones that are still actively wanting to travel and move into that next trip area, that's really the people that I harness in order to figure out where we're going next. So I would love for you to be a part of that as we figure out which tours we're doing beyond 2022 and 23. We have a newsletter that's going to be launching. It's a printed newsletter for Jen's Travel Journeys called The Scoop, and it's mailing at the end of January. If you don't receive it, because all of you are probably not on the mailing list yet, but if you don't receive it, I just need you to register for the newsletter. And again, you'll see all that information coming out in the coming weeks, but that just ensures that you're on that mailing list and you'll receive that newsletter. The reason I want you to receive it is it has every trip on it. I know many of you are from the Tampa Bay area, but some of you are not. And some of our motor coach tours are fly drive tours coming up. So things like the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum up in Kentucky, New York City, Branson, Missouri, Christmas extravaganza. So, we've got quite an offering for different age demographics and families, and you're welcome no matter where you live to participate in that. My clients are all over the United States. So don't feel like you have to be based in Tampa to take advantage of those, but a lot of the one-day or multi-day trips will base out of the Tampa area as well. So that's a little bit about what's going on with Jen Henriksen, Cruise Planners, and Jen's Travel Journeys. Today, as we eke our way out of COVID, I have a staff of 5, including myself, and they are, I have some terrific agents on staff. All of them are 20 plus years experience in the travel agency world. They specialize in different areas around the globe. And again, my background is in Europe. So between us, we've really got you covered coming and going. It's been going really well. I can tell you that COVID has stressed us beyond belief, as you can imagine. Um, and especially these continuing operation, disruptions are really tough because we have a lot of bookings, a lot of clients going, and a lot of clients getting canceled. So that there's only so much time in a day. And if I'm like last week, if you emailed, I had a little thing on saying, listen, if we don't get back to you in the next couple of days, if it's not an emergency, well, I'll talk to you in 5 days. Because the volume of emails and things like that, as suppliers let us know what's going on with their interruptions or cancellations, it takes precedence for whoever is actually going out the door traveling. So forgive me if you experience a little bit of a delay. I also want to let you know that January, February, and March in the travel trade industry, that's tour operator and travel agencies, is known as wave season. And they call it wave season because it started with the cruise lines, where it is the one time of the year that the highest concentrations of bookings happen. And since that's driven by the consumer market, that's when all of the deals come out, is January through March. So it kind of creates this volcano effect where a lot of people, a lot of things go out. You'll probably see a lot more emails if you're on my email list. A lot of promotions from different suppliers come out during those times with some incredible deals, and especially for a year out, remember. But January through March is the window. So we're already busy in a normal year, January through March. Then you throw COVID in on top of it. So, it just makes for things slowing down a little bit. And how it'll affect you is you getting your questions answered from us. It's going to be a little bit longer of a delay for the next couple of months. So it won't be 24-hour turnaround. Many of you have my cell phone, and that cell phone can be used for quick questions that you're thinking of, but I'm trying really hard not to answer it at night. I already have probably over 500 people on trips this year. So that's a lot of you to be texting me at night. So if you can, keep to business hours on that and keep it to very short, quick questions. Otherwise, just shoot me an email and I promise you I will get back to you as quickly as I can. But right now it's 2 to 3 day turnaround at best. Okay. And if it's urgent, please make sure to always put it in the subject line and I'll know that. And that frees up my cell phone for people that are currently traveling. Okay. Because we always love to hear from them. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about the travel agency and the tour company and where we're headed. I want to tell you about some of the other classes that we're going to be teaching. This class is going to be just the basics. We're going to go over just some basics about your booking and what you should be doing next. And then after that, I'm going to record 2 separate short sessions. One, which is all about how you log into My Trips. Your My Trips profile is your online profile with me and the Cruise Planners Agency. And remember, that's not trip specific, that's you specific. So that profile, your My Trips profile, is plural, My Trips. Everything that you're booking with us or looking to book with us, your passport expiration dates, your birthday, your anniversary, all of those kinds of things that you've checked off saying, I kind of want to go to Peru. All of those things are housed in the My Trips profile. And I'm going to show you in a recording how you can log in both online and on your dedicated app. And that way, it's one of the tools that you'll have leading into this trip with us, if it's your first one. So you'll kind of see what My Trips can do for you. Then the next recording is going to be about princess.com. And what do we do as we're logging into this specific trip, cruise only? So remember that whoever the supplier is that we use for a trip is always going to have an app for you or something that they want you to log into. But it's not going to contain your flights and your, if you booked your own hotel or any of the other components of your travel, unless they're all booked through that supplier. And rarely does that happen. So Princess will get you all set up on their Medallion Class app and online as well. So you can start going through the process of seeing what's on board and what they have to offer and all of those kind of things. I think you'll love it. They do such a fantastic job with their app, and it'll kind of help you to kind of see what the differences are. I want to talk to you why Princess. So Alaska they have so many amazing suppliers, and let me tell you how I know that. I'd never been to Alaska before 2021. And I spent a lot of time between October of 2020 and May of 2021 studying everything I could get my hands on. And there's certain suppliers that offer these trainings, intense webinars, that sort of thing, that when you spend those hours and hours going through it and testing that you retained that information, they offer you a specialist designation. It gives you the designation for that specific destination, that you're really a specialist, but it's online. So if you haven't been there in person, you are a specialist about what the offerings are, but you haven't tried any of them. So you've heard this if you follow me on my YouTube channel. It's important to me that in order to truly become a specialist of an area, you need to spend some time there. You need to really try some different experiences and do that homework. The homework is super important as well. So I went to Alaska in the end of April last year, 2021, and I stayed for 5 weeks. I was by myself. A lot of people ask about, now, how did you do that? And I can tell you that I did it with the help of a lot of friends that were out there, namely Visit Anchorage, who I'm very close with the staff there. They put together an initial familiarization trip, which kind of teaches you a little bit about that specific area and its experiences. And then they helped me line up with just a host of other suppliers. So I spent about 2 weeks of that time in Anchorage and the surrounding area. That would include Whittier and Seward and a lot of the more southeastern area. And then I moved up to Denali, and I was in Denali for about a week. Took the Alaska Railroad everywhere pretty much that it could go. And then I spent about another 2 weeks in Fairbanks and the Arctic Circle, flying up to the Arctic Circle. And again, the whole intention of that was to do my homework for you. My clients that travel there, what do they want to do on that coveted day off that they don't know what they should be doing in that area? There's no better way to figure that out than to actually be there on that day off and know what the choices are. So it was intense, those 5 weeks. Tom flew out the last week and we went completely off grid, no running water, no potty, no electricity, and camped down in Homer, right on the beach in a tent, which was, I know that sounds probably horrible to some of you, but it was amazing. And we did the remote kayaking excursions and things like that, just for our own personal time to be off grid, did some hiking. And a lot of those are the excursions that you're going to find that are available throughout the regions on this tour as well. So I really did my homework. And I think that helps as far as what I present to you, both what we're going to do as a group and things that we're going to do individually, because one family is going to want to do flight seeing, which is one of the more high dollar things to do in Alaska, well worth every penny. And other families are going to want to do the dog sled or no excursion at all and just do a hike. You know, bucket list tours tend to be pricey. No matter what your financial situation is, a bucket list tour pushes it to the edge because it's one of those places that tends to be more expensive because everybody wants to go there. So we'll make sure, our job on the travel agency side is to make sure that whatever it is that you're adding to your tour with us is in your price point and is exactly what it is that you want to do on those coveted days that you're there. So without further ado, I want to show you a little bit about why did we choose Princess? What about Princess? So check this out. So as you can see, there's a reason why we chose Princess. So keep in mind, in Alaska, there are literally dozens and dozens of companies that take people through Alaska. And on the cruise side of things, the ocean cruising, there's everybody you can think of. Holland America, Princess, Royal Caribbean. What are some of the other ones? Norwegian Cruise Lines. Then there's Uncruise. There's several other luxury liners that bring people there. There is no shortage of suppliers that go to Alaska. But why Princess is what I want to talk to you about. When I was there, one of the things, there isn't one place in Alaska that's not amazing, truly, even in the remote reaches of the Arctic where there isn't much going on. It's just an amazing, amazing place. However, it's also very small, which sounds so funny because it's so huge. There's 6 highways in Alaska. You're going to learn when we do our bird's eye view of the state, how it's so much like a country, but it's very, very small. So a lot of the suppliers all know each other. A lot of the excursions, no matter who you book them with, are using the same family that owns the same excursion company. So some of those things are what we're going to share with you as you're making your decisions, what you're going to do in your time when you're there. But Princess is so well connected there from what you saw in the video. And if there's some lag there, I'll post it on the playlist so you'll be able to look at it again directly. But Princess is very, very well connected. It's one of the only cruise lines, first of all, that is #1 over and over as far as the capacity for passenger count, which is huge, as well as the connectivity. Alaska is very spread out. It takes a long time to get from one place to another. Ask me how I know this. You have to be very connected with the railroad, the Alaska Railroad. Those are the only train tracks that are used there. And Princess they're very connected. So as we talk about what we're going to be doing in a future class on our itinerary and where we're staying, I'm going to show you the placement. I went to every one of Princess's lodges. They have 5 in Alaska, and each one offers something different, but they are so well and strategically placed. Like for our 12-day guests, you are right at the mouth of Denali National Park, right at the entrance. It's right on the Nenana River. So everything is happening right there. So a lot of times when we're talking about trips in Europe and price points and who goes where and who you should go with, a lot has to do with the location of the hotels. Is it city center? Is it a little outside city center? Well, Princess, they've got it, man. Every one of their lodges is just such an incredible location, and they're connected by the rail system. Since they're so large, they have their own fleet of motor coaches. They know how to move volumes of people in an area that isn't that huge. I mean, Denali is one street. It's outside Denali National Park. There's one little strip. That's it. That's where the gas station is. That's where the restaurants are, and the hotels and cabins and things are spotted around. But there's not a whole lot going on up there. So you're going to see when we're there, they're very, very well connected. Now, in the 5 weeks that I was in there, I want to tell you that while I was in Alaska, the cruise market was completely shut down. So Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, Vancouver, nothing in that lower part of Alaska was I able to see. Nothing. So, and that was okay because I don't come from a cruise background, right? I come from a land background. So the primary thing that I wanted to see was land because we're going to be doing the winter tours to Alaska, which will be Northern Lights and the Iditarod sled dog races, things like that. And I knew that the cruise industry would reopen eventually, and we'd get to take this cruise. And I'll be doing a lot of further research with you guys as my guinea pigs for those different areas that we'll be visiting that I didn't have the opportunity to visit with before. But all of that to tell you, that's why Princess. They are very well connected. They are one of the only places that we pull up in that train and you are right on that ship. They just do such a fantastic job. And we're going to be doing an annual trip with them. And depending on interest from you guys, if you like this year's tour and you want to do something completely different, you can come on one of the winter tours, which are land only, or you can come back on one of the ones for Alaska that I do for cruise, and we'll do it a little differently. So I'll change it up every year, but I'll also have that bucket list offering, which is extended time in Denali on land with also a cruise only option that's a little bit less expensive. So that's a little bit about that. I gave you the COVID update. Let's talk a little bit about your confirmation. So I sent you an invoice that gave you your deposit has been paid, and attached to that invoice at the bottom of the invoice is a guest confirmation from Princess itself. And let me see if I can even get this to show, because sometimes with my background, I can't. Let's see, there you go. This is the heading. This is what it looks like on there. And right over here underneath the Princess logo, it's going to give you your booking number. That's everything relates to your booking number. Okay. That tells me all about your specific booking. So when you call in or email in, email is preferred, but when you ask questions about your booking, it's great if you can give me that number. It'll save us a bunch of time. That confirmation, I really want you to take a look at it. And I know a lot of times it's like, oh, great, Jen's got us deposited, we're good to go. Take a look at that confirmation, because there's some really important information on there that we need to make sure is correct. And you're going to need it going forward when we do a lot more of your online check-in and doing excursions and flights. Okay. So just double check it, make sure everybody's name is the name that's on their passport, because remember that we go into Vancouver, BC as our exit point. So we need passports for this particular trip, and the names on your booking need to match your passport exactly. Some of you I know have your passports out for renewal right now. You want to make sure that you get those in, because as we get closer to departure day, Princess will not let up on us. And if they don't match, it is a major issue. So you want to make sure those names match, and in our system as well, not just for this booking. Right underneath that, where it says passengers, make sure everything is correct with you there. And then the pricing details of your particular booking, what it is that you've done. You're going to see the word mods, MODS, on there with a $43 per person charge if you're on the 12-day tour. And that is for transfers. They call it mods, like modular, and it's just how they do their booking to make sure that you've got the transfers included in there too. And they just separate it out, probably because they're using an outside company or something to do it. You'll see underneath total fare, it says land excursion pricing not included in total. What that means is when you take land excursions on the cruise. Okay, so your land portion is included if you're on the 12-day tour. Underneath that, you'll see payment details, and that is probably one of the most important areas. That's going to verify that your deposit went through, and most importantly, it's going to tell you when your final payment date is. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody on, I know on the 12-day, just because I'm traveling on that one, your final payment date is probably April 6th. But it is really important that you check that date so you know when it is, because right underneath that area that we're talking about right now, you'll see a cancellation schedule. And that's the other thing that's really important that you know. We are under a fully refundable deposit until final payment. But if your final payment date is April 6th, then your cancellation schedule kicks in on April 7th. And that cancellation schedule is going to tell you how much money you're not getting back if you cancel after that date. Okay, so just always important, if you have travel insurance, you know, that's going to cover you for certain circumstances too, but it's important for you to know always on any trip that you take what the cancellation schedule is for each supplier. And because everything's different, right? Whether it's air or whichever suppliers we're using. In that same payment details area, read that fine print. I know a lot of clients say, oh, I don't even read that. You know, you got it all booked for me, I'm good. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if I'm good or not. You need to read the fine print, because the contract is between you and the cruise line, okay? Not the travel agent. So it's really important that you read the fine print. And in this particular case, right under the payment details, it's going to tell you all of the other benefits that are included in your package. So this is going to be that premium beverage package, Wi-Fi, prepaid gratuities. Some of you, depending on when you booked, might have gotten some onboard credit if they were throwing a promotion out there or something. Some of you got a reduced deposit if they were running one of those promotions, or I had one for the agency. So some of you are going to have a little bit different amenities, and I haven't even added the amenities that I'm going to be doing on board. So that's just what comes with your standard booking from Princess, but that's where you can find out what's included in your booking. It's on your confirmation form. Cancellation schedule is below that. And then the booking itinerary. What day are we going to be in what place? And you want to take a look at that over the next couple of weeks, because as we move into this next phase of logging in and looking at excursions and figuring out what day we're going to fly in and which day we're going to fly out, that's going to be really important to you, is what the itinerary, we're going to base that off of the itinerary that Princess is doing with us. Okay. You should find a couple of extra pages on your passenger copy of your confirmation that again have that fine print that you want to make sure that you read through. I want to talk to you a little bit about travel insurance first. So I had a conversation with my sister-in-law who will be on this trip as well. My entire family is going. In-laws and everybody, and we're hoping that the kids can go. I know some of you are hoping that your grown kids can join you as well, but plans are, up in the air, but we hope they can join us too. And we were talking about travel insurance, and this is it reminded me that I wanted to tell you about it on the recording, because this is an area that people don't understand usually. So I'm going to tell you the bird's eye view of travel insurance. When you book a flight or you rent a car or, whatever it is, there's usually a little checkbox that says, I want to purchase their protection plan. And they add, $14 a person, or 28, could be 35, whatever. But it's a little checkbox that's on whatever that supplier's booking is, that you just do it like an add-on. I would recommend that you never check that box. And here's why. Travel insurance, and remember, my background is a tour operator, so I could write a book on things that have happened to people when they were either on or headed to a trip. Okay. So travel insurance, I could give you a million reasons why I highly recommend it, including myself personally. But it's very confusing because, you want to go on this trip, you're not thinking travel insurance. And if you're already at the top of your budget, you take a look at what they want for real travel insurance and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive, I'll probably never use it. So travel insurance is governed by the state that you live in. So for instance, Princess offers a travel insurance package, again, that you can add on to their package, but it's not available to residents of Puerto Rico, New York State, and I think there's a couple of others, because comprehensive travel insurance, that means real, full, it covers everything, legit travel insurance, is governed by the state that you live in. That's why we need your address and your full mailing address in order to quote it for you. So it's not like we're putting it together to just go, hey, this would be a great dollar ad. You know what I mean? It's governed by the state. And pretty much across the board, you guys, travel insurance is the same. They offer that basic plan, which most people go, basic? I don't think I want that one. The basic travel insurance plan that almost every third party now, this is a company that all they do is travel insurance. It's not an add-on. So when you get that basic plan from a third party travel insurance provider, it is full comprehensive coverage. The second policy, which they call plus or cancel anytime or cancel for any reason, offers more protection. So if you have to cancel for work related reasons, a lot of times that'll be in there. If you, and I couldn't give you all the different examples, but picture it as two policies. One is the basic, which is a perfectly good, it's the one I get all the time. The basic policy is full comprehensive coverage, but you can't cancel anytime you want. There's limited coverage reasons. And by limited, I mean, there's 30, you know what I mean? There's quite a few of them. And on the brochure that we send you, when we quote it to you, everything's listed there for you to check it out. On the plus plan, there's additional covered reasons. So just know there's two plans. There's the basic and there's the Mac Daddy. And again, for most of the clients that are traveling, unless there's extenuating circumstance, the basic is just fine. And remember, it doesn't just cover you and the people you're traveling with, it covers you for your family at home as well. If somebody has an emergency at home, a full comprehensive coverage package is going to cover you if you need to cancel because something happens to them. Okay, so well worth it, well worth it. How do they price it? So travel insurance is based on the location you're going to, whether it's high risk or not, the age of the traveler, that's going to gauge what the price is. The older we get, the more expensive it becomes because of the risk involved for the travel insurance company, right? It bases off the total dollar amount that you've spent on the trip, because at the end of the day, You're purchasing the travel insurance for two reasons. One of them is the medical personal benefits to you should something happen. The other is your financial investment should something happen. That's what we're getting the insurance for, okay? So you want to make sure a comprehensive plan covers you on both sides. And when it's the kind of cheapy radio button that we check when we're purchasing some travel component from a supplier, it's not comprehensive. The price is lowered. They're working with a reputable company usually, but the price is lowered because they're limiting the coverage options for you. Like with an airline, they're going to limit it to just what's related to the airline. That little checkbox is not going to cover you for your rental car, for your cruise, all the other things, right? Comprehensive insurance covers you for every component that you're doing, everything that you have. And how we do it now, it was a little different before COVID, but now remember that it's a prepaid, non-refundable expense is what we're trying to cover, because you have your investment in for those and you wouldn't get it back if something happened, right? So the first thing we end up doing is telling you, if your cruise was $5,000 and you paid for full travel insurance coverage, this is how much it's going to cost you. But since you only have a $400 deposit in right now, that's all we're going to cover. And the reason we do that is because the premium you pay for travel insurance is non-refundable. So if you had a claim, you're going to get everything back except for what you paid for your premium. Okay, so that's why, and this is Jen Henriksen's take on it. I'm not a licensed insurance agent, but I can tell you that if you're not going to get that money back, if anything happens with the plan, then let's invest, let's pay that premium as we go. So when it gets to final payment in April, and you see your final payment is coming due, which, by the way, I'm going to tell you probably 2 weeks ahead of time. So if you see another date on my paperwork that says like 2 weeks earlier, we're never going to pay a final payment on the last possible day, because that is just causing way too much opportunity for a canceled booking. So you'll see those reminders coming from me about 2 weeks ahead of time. Okay, if just in case you see two dates. But when it comes time for you to make your final payment and you're ready to invest more money in this trip, we're going to up your travel insurance. We'll run another quote to say this is how much more we want to add to it. And then the company says, okay, it's going to be $68 more to cover the investment that you're making. That money, let's say it becomes non-refundable. Now you're covered for that amount, up to that amount. So the whole goal with travel insurance, anytime you buy it, no matter who you buy it from, is to make sure that that entire trip is covered in full by the time, the day before departure day. Okay. If it's the basic plan, you can buy it anytime up until the day before departure. I will never offer it to you then. By that time, I'll have you signing a waiver that says you have agreed not to, that you've stated you do not want travel insurance. And anybody that travels with us, you must have a waiver on file if you decline getting personal protection, travel insurance on your booking. And that just protects us as well. Not wise right now, post-COVID, to be traveling without travel insurance. And I know a lot of questions are, well, will it cover me if I'm sick? Will it cover, all these different things? It does. So it's your responsibility as the consumer to read the brochure. They outline it very clearly based on which coverage and which state you're in, what it will cover and what it will not. And there's certainly the 800 number of the professionals that can answer those questions for you. But if we get a group of us that are asking the same questions, I'm happy to get those answers for you directly. But do your homework, don't rely, even if you're booking it through us or any travel agency, don't rely on someone else. Make sure that the coverage that you're getting is what you need, and there's a reason we only offer certain quotes and the rest of them we don't, because we have experience with that. But travel insurance is not a gimmick. It is literally in place to protect you medically should something happen, and to protect your money that you've invested in that trip. If the trip cancels, remember now we have the cruise and we have the travel insurance, two different companies, right? So if the cruise cancels, depending on what Princess does to give you back your money is dependent on whether we have to file a claim. You have to file a claim, which we assist you on, to get that money back from Princess or not. What we're seeing is usually they're all kind of working together right now. So Allianz is our preferred company that we quote for insurance. They've been fantastic. And Princess has been fantastic, along with all the other cruise lines. They've had a few cancellations, so they're learning how to make it work now. So Don't stress about that at all. It's pretty seamless, that process. If anything gets lost, stolen, broken, those sorts of things, we've done it all. So the travel insurance is a wonderful thing to have in place, and in way more reasons than you're thinking. So enough about that. Just wanted to let you know about that. I'm pretty sure that 100% of us have the travel insurance in place, or a travel waiver signed on file. So that's really what we need, is one or the other. And rest assured, you don't need to track it. I will automatically quote you unless you're purchasing something on your own. If you're purchasing it through us, like that final payment through Princess, or an excursion through us now, anything like that you're booking, you can, we'll send it back through to get you a quote to up the travel insurance for it. So you'll be good there. Let's talk about pre and post night stays and flights. So that's going to be the next thing that we move into now. And I want to encourage you to start getting online and taking a look at it. A lot of questions are, should we book our flights now? Great question. I really don't know the answer to that, because the flight industry is having its own issues at the moment. I have not booked my personal family's flights, but I have been looking. So the first thing we did was look into group air, which I'll always do when we have a group tour. And if I can't get a really good deal on group air that's going to make it worthwhile to actually do the booking altogether, I'm going to let you know. So here's your official notice. We were not able to get group air. So that means that flights are going to need to be purchased on your own, but we have some great options for you. The first thing I want you to do, most of you are coming out of the Tampa area, and the first thing I'd like you to do is just go on whatever your preferred platform is for domestic air and take a look at what the flights are. A lot of you are going to find out that the flights come in the evening hours, okay, late afternoon. Well, July 5th is the first day that we arrive. So on the first day in Anchorage, I believe we have a trolley tour. You have Captain Cook. This is for 12-day now. You have the Captain Cook Hotel, a fantastic 4-star hotel, and you have transfers from the airport. But if you're coming in at 7 o'clock at night, you're not going to really be able to see too much in Anchorage, because the next morning, bright and early, we hop on a motor coach and head for Denali. That's it. That's the only time that you have in Anchorage. So some of you are going to be like, well, I'd like a little more time in Anchorage. Well, if July 5th is that date that the tour actually starts, the night that you have your hotel, that means you'd fly in on July 4th weekend. So right now, even flying in on July 5th, the prices out of Tampa, just from a Google search, are coming in for premium economy between $800 and $1,000 per person. Remember, luggage is going to be a separate thing depending on who you're going with, that sort of thing. And can you find deals? You can. Economy class, just basic economy class, is ranging like $400 to $600, I think. I never recommend basic economy, just so you know. It's the one seat class that is completely unsupported. So, but just know that those are kind of the range of what prices are doing. So check with it. You can book, you're booking it 100% on your own. So we are not, we don't support booking flights individually without charging a service fee. So if you want your flights handled, we can take care of that for you. But usually we recommend, just to save money, go ahead and do it on your own, because you're used to booking domestic flights anyway. But just pay attention to when you're coming in. If you don't want to add a pre-hotel night and look at flying in a little bit earlier, then just book your flight and know that whatever time you come in on January 5th is, the time, the remainder of the day you're going to have. But you have to be in on July 5th, because July 6th in the morning is when we head up to Denali. If you wanted to do a pre-night, initially I had looked and I wasn't able to figure out how to book them for you, but I called in a couple of days ago when we had another booking come in, and my rep said, oh yeah, I can take care of those for you. So I got some prices for you. A pre-night at the hotel Captain Cook is right around and don't quote me exact, but it's right around 380 with taxes and everything. Remember, it's a 4-star hotel, and remember, it's peak season. So are there other hotels in the Anchorage area? Absolutely there are. So if that's your choice, that you'd rather book at a different hotel, that's totally fine. But if you want to do the pre-night through Princess and have it included in your package, then you can just let me know how you book a pre or post night hotel through Princess is calling me. Because whether you call or email me and say, Jen, this is what I want, is this night or the night on either end, then I add it to the booking for you. Okay, Princess allows us to service that. Excuse me. The post night in Vancouver, remember that the ship's going to come in probably like 6, 8 in the morning, and you will disembark by 9. So the transfer for 12-day people is going to be directly to the airport. For our 7-day people, there is no transfer included. So if you need ship transfers, I think it's like $59 each way to get it through Princess. Okay. And you're going to be able to do that when I walk you through the app. So just hang tight on the transfers for a minute. That's not a priority one. But for my 12-day people, you're going to get that transfer either to your post-night hotel if you book it through Princess, or directly to the airport if you're departing on July 16th, which is the day we disembark. So just decide if you haven't been to Vancouver and you'd like to stay. Their primary hotel through Princess is sold out. So the second hotel, which is called the Fairmont, is running right about $560. So a little bit pricier. And I know that's a lot, but that's not an excursion or anything now. That's just a hotel night after the cruise. So either one of those that you want to do, a pre-night in Anchorage, a post-night in Vancouver, email me, let me know, and I'll add it to your booking. You don't have to pay for it now. It just reserves the room for you and puts it on the booking for you. So if you're even thinking you want it, make sure you put it on. Okay. You don't want to wait till the last minute, because as more different cruises cancel, they get more and more people. Like I'm almost out of balconies right now, ship-wide balconies on the port side. So you want to make sure that anything you want to add, we're adding it soon. So figuring out your pre and post stays is going to be number one. Then we figure out the flights and what we're doing with flights, because once you decide on what you want to do as far as the pre or post night, you're going to know what day to fly in and which day to fly out. And one of the things I wanted to mention to you with flights is that one option is that you Google it or kayak it or whatever way you normally book it. American Express card holders can book it direct through American Express to get those kind of benefits as well. And then the other side of that is Princess also offers air. Now, little caveat for you. I'm not able to service Princess Air, so I don't book the air for you. That's one that you book directly with them. Okay, same thing with excursions. Those are the only two things through Princess specifically that I cannot help you with. Okay, but I can show you how to do it. And when I do the recording for you on getting on the Princess app or princess.com into your booking, you're going to see right away where it says book air and book transfers. Very, very simple. And what I want to tell you about, the little extra perk for you, is when you look at Princess Easy Air, which I just did for our family as well, they allow you to hold that schedule. So the flight that I held was, I think it's around $700 per person. And it's the schedule all the way out and all the way back based on those days, whether you're doing the pre or the post hotel stays. There's no charge for you. They hold that air schedule for you. And you pay, I think it's like 45 days before departure. What a cool option. So I encourage every one of you to hold some air with Princess, because there's a lot of us, and why not? You can look online, purchase the one that you want online, but if you want to wait a little bit and kind of see what the airfare is doing, you can always hold the Princess Easy Air and cancel it later. Just remember to cancel it later. That's the important part. And again, before you do anything with excursions or air or pre and post night, double check your names on the booking to make sure they match your passport. Okay. After that, we're going to talk about excursions. And I know I've gotten a lot of questions from people. What should we do? And what should we save for one specific city or another? On our cruise, we're going to be going to Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan, very popular stops along. You're going to notice that there's 2 days. I believe that there are no excursions available. Thank you to the Murdoch family for catching that. But the reason for that is because there are days that we are actually in Glacier National Park or have something else going on. So there are intentionally no excursions on those days. But there's 2 ways to get excursions. Okay. Actually, there's 3 ways, but 2 ways through me. One of them is book them yourself. Okay. But the 2 ways to get them is through Princess directly. Princess has fantastic excursions, guys, fantastic, right? But remember, so do the other excursion companies. They're all using the same mom and pop retailers that are on the ground in Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan, and Anchorage and Vancouver. So, you know, either way, coming or going, they're going to have the same offering. So it's really up to you. If you go through Princess, Princess does a price, they talk about a price guarantee. They talk about that you're back to the ship on time, so you aren't going to have any issues with it there. But if you book, when you log in through our app, you're going to see that I've loaded for you a different company that's called Shore Group Excursions. And those excursions, a lot of them are going to be the same. You're going to see many more of them as well, but they're all of the recommended for that particular stop, the recommended excursions for that area. The price point is probably going to be a lot lower than Princess's, but you're booking it independently. So whose responsibility is it for you to find out where you have to meet that supplier to get on that excursion? It's yours. If you book it through Princess, they're going to take care of all of that for you and make sure you get directly there. So it's totally up to you. The Shore Excursions group that we use also guarantees that you get back to the ship on time. So when they start to make you nervous about things like that, don't worry about it. I mean, the cruise industry is massive, and the companies over the years have really figured that out. So there is some perks to booking it directly through Princess. One of them is that it's seamless. I mean, they're taking care of it. So they're going to make sure that you get there and get back with no issues at all. All you got to do is show up where they tell you to. But if you're willing to take a little, save some of your money and you want to do it through Shore Excursions Group, you can certainly do that as well. And like I said, on a future recording here on class, I'll share with you how to do that, but totally up to you. And then after a little bit down the road, when we do our classes with my friends at Visit Anchorage, they're going to be talking to you about those cities as well. And then in one of the classes, we'll also be talking about our specific itinerary and where we're going in each stop along the way, and tell you a little bit more about that. Like Ketchikan is known as the salmon capital. So we'll give you a little bit more about each of those locations so you can make some decisions as to whether or not you'd like to do a certain excursion in those cities. So, but you'll see a lot of the excursions are the same. Flight seeing is the Mac Daddy thing to do anywhere in Alaska. It's just so huge that the best way to see it is from the air. And I did several flight seeing things when I was out there for the 5 weeks, and I cannot possibly recommend them to you enough. It was worth every penny to do those. But they are pricey. So you have to really set yourself up for that. But you won't be disappointed for sure. Anytime you can get on a boat and get out onto like a day cruise or that type of an excursion is also a big hit, but so are the land, the fishing excursions and the hiking excursions. A lot of it is just personal preference, guys. Of what is it that you like to do. There's going to be certain stops, and especially if you're more cost conscious because you're spending your money on the bucket list cruise, you're going to want to just enjoy the town and just walk around the town and maybe get back on the ship a little early. There's some benefits on those port days to getting back on the ship without the big crowd. So just some ideas for you there. So that's about it for today. Again, I don't have a schedule for you, like a date and time, until my Visit Anchorage team finishes. One of them is traveling and the other one is recovering from surgery. So when they're able to give me some dates, we'll put those together for you. I have some resources that I'm going to be sending you just in those coming weeks before final payment. You'll have some opportunities to just learn a lot more about what it is that we're going to be doing. And the whole point is really to get you excited about what we're doing and to learn more about it step by step. So it's going to be such an amazing trip, you guys, such an amazing trip. So any questions, please email me. Give me a couple of days to get back to you. Remember, there's a lot of you and we have lots of trips going out. So I will get with you as quickly as I can. And if it's urgent, make sure to mark that in the subject line as well. And that's it. If you want to make sure that you're on the mailing list for the Jen's Travel Journey newsletter going out at the end of January, just zip me a quick email and I can check that for you, or wait and see if you get it or not. And then you can let me know in February. But I'll be letting you know through an email newsletter going out to the group when the next class will be and which one we're going to shoot live and how to access these recordings as well. So you'll have all of that information at your fingertips. Okay. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in today. And we will be talking to you soon as we give you more information about your amazing 2022 Alaska journey. Have a great day, everybody.